Hello, everyone. It's the Conscious Culinary Podcast, and I'm your host, Chef Tracy Clark. Today, we are talking about Ayurveda, something I have really enjoyed learning about over the last few years. And what's great about today is I am joined by a very special guest to help me spread the good word. So welcome to the show, the lovely Amanda Malarkey.
Thank you, love. It's so good to be here. I got to tell you, I was in my sauna this morning having it's a miracle, right? With 3 kids, 3 little girls. In my sauna, giving myself Abhyanga, which is a oil massage. It's amazing, and it's something everyone should create time for.
Okay.
And I thought how excited I am to be doing this, like with every fiber of my being.
Oh.
Speaking about Ayurveda and yoga and just that whole world. Okay. I just got
chills. I just got chills. And I think if you're watching this or listening to this, you've just witnessed why she is the most perfect guest, right? Not only does she have a wealth of knowledge, but you're walking the walk. You're living it. You're such an inspiration. I think you're definitely responsible for some of my good habits. So that is so cool. I'm so excited to find out more about this massage. And that's what's so great about Ayurveda is that it's, of course, I like the food aspect and I like to talk about the recipes and I feel that's really important, but it really spans across a lot of different topics, all different areas of just who we are as a human. So before we go any further, I do want to say, so I'm talking to those of you out there who are like, I've never heard of this. What is Ayurveda? Ayurveda? Like, that's who we're talking to. It's going to be a very brief 101 and hopefully leaving you wanting more. So before we go on, Amanda, can you help me just give like a really great description of just what Ayurveda is?
Yeah, very simply put, Ayurveda is the science of self-healing. Okay, and so there's no black, white definitive. It is a way of being. It is noticing, it's slowing down, and it's following the elements that our entire ecosystem is created by and listening.
Right.
Yeah, so much.
That's very beautifully put. I do want to point out this book that actually you recommended.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny having you on the show today because, yeah, see, Amanda's my guru. So what's funny is that, long story short, we have people in our lives who know each other, but we kind of became friends on Facebook. And you ran this series on Ayurveda on some recipes and practices, like kind of like how to introduce it to your life. And that was the first thing that I'd ever signed up for from you. And then from there, that's when, I found out about the wellness retreat. And that's what I need to say. I need to introduce Amanda a little bit more here. So not only is she a lovely mother of 3 beautiful little girls, and a wife and all of that, but she runs these women's wellness retreats. She's done retreats in both Zion National Park and Costa Rica, so beautiful places. She's a yoga instructor, and are you doing prenatal yoga now?
Yes, prenatal and postnatal.
That is so cool. And because you just had yours, is she 3 months yet?
No, not yet.
No, not yet, but creeping up. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She just added her latest one. And so that's really cool to have that experience working through sharing your yoga and doing the prenatal yoga and going through it all at the same time. But, I feel like it's more than just the retreats and the yoga and stuff. This is a phrase I'm coining today. I'd like to give you the first honor. I feel you are an ambassador of wellness.
Ooh.
It's just a great term to sum up like everything you've been doing, because it's not just, what you're doing now, it's everything that you've come from and worked through to get to this point. So truly an ambassador of wellness here. And funny that was what the first thing was that I signed up for from you was an Ayurveda class.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Here we are. So many experiences later.
I know. Life. Now, I did want to read something that I underlined in this book. Just because I thought it's kind of extends on what you just said of just how it really looks at us as a whole. And it says Ayurveda It is a simple, practical science of life whose principles universally applicable to each individual's daily existence.
Mhm.
Ayurveda speaks to every element and facet of human life, offering guidance that has been tested and refined over many centuries to all those who seek greater harmony and peace and longevity. Which I thought was so beautiful. I mean, like, hello, all day, every day, I'm seeking for that, right?
Yes, it is beautiful. I'll tell you what, my life has changed drastically since Ayurveda has come into my life. And it's been a long road though. I mean, it's been a gradual learning experience with Ayurveda. It's you don't study it through one workshop and know it all. It's a lifetime of learning.
Oh, exactly. I feel like I learned about it must have been about 5 years ago. And I mean, I'm still like, can you define it? I don't even know how to put it into words because there's a depth to it. It's, it's something coming from over 5,000 years ago. I mean, it's just rooted in history and so cool stuff. So please tell us a little bit more about how Ayurveda came into your life.
Well, I was living in Santa Barbara, California, living the dream, the California dream. And I was a practitioner of yoga for quite some time. And I started working at the Santa Barbara Yoga Studio and started taking my training there as well. And so the editor-in-chief of the Yoga Journal in Los Angeles came up and presented I think it was over a few months, training on Ayurveda. And I started reading the description. I'm like, okay, I need this in my life. So that was my first big experience with that. That was 2011. And I'll just give you some back history of me and how we as a human race can not connect with ourselves, with earth, and we can go so fast that we miss the important things. We miss how to really treat ourselves and to listen to what we truly need. I was having really bad gastrointestinal issues, and I can explain this to you later if you join one of my more podcasts to come, hopefully, and workshops, of course. But I ran high with fire and wind. And as you all know, the whole West Coast has been on fire, right? And I don't even want to use that as an example, but it was crazy because I knew once that fire and that wind, it was a roar. And that's what happens to a human being when you are high pitta and high vata and you're running, you're just roaring, and then you crash down and everything literally crashes down. You rest for a few days and then boom, you're back up to that roaring rage. And that was really what was the cause of what was going inside of my belly, my bowel movements, having colonoscopies, a few of them during my 20s. And so Ayurveda is really what brought the balance in. Okay, so we can read a lot about balance, but it's really understanding and learning the elements that we are all made up of, and we're all different, and what we can do, what we can incorporate to balance ourselves out, such as bringing in kapha. And again, if you want to learn more, you'll learn all about this wonderful stuff.
I know there's so much.
Yeah, I know. It's like 30 minutes. Oh my gosh.
I know.
So it's grounding, and it doesn't happen overnight. Some people can do that. Some people can make that switch overnight, but it took me a while. It took me a few years to live it, to really live it. And I would say I've been teaching it for 4 years now. And I would say since I've been living it, I am more grounded, more calm, those rages don't come up as often,
As often.
It's like you use the tools that you learn.
Yes.
That's been my experience with Ayurveda, how it came into my life and how it truly changed my life. Literally the science of self-healing.
Yes. That's really well put. I love it. Now, one thing I do want to go over for those of you who are tuning in and are, again, never really heard much about this. You're right. It does take a long time to start incorporating these practices. And I know for me, like I said, it's been 5 years, but there's a few things that I'm able to bring into my life. And as far as food wise goes, one of the most beautiful parts about Ayurveda is the idea of really eating seasonally.
Mhm.
and just eating those foods that are ready for you from Mother Earth right now. This is the time for you, because as we move through the seasons, we start learning that there are times to be grounding, and there's times to spring forward, and there's times to look inward and look outward and all of that. And food can accompany that. And
Mhm.
so for me, just, being more aware that I'm trying to choose foods that are fresh and in season is a very small way that I'm able to just become more conscious, right? And just live a little bit more Ayurvedically. So later in the show, I do want to talk a little bit more to people about other ways that they can include some positive practices. But, as you say, it takes time, because that very first class I took from you on Ayurveda, my son was really young, and I think it was just way too soon to get in there. But one thing that I think still today I'm trying to do is have a divine morning and wake up and give myself time and have that hot water. And even if it's just hot water or hot water and lemon, talk to people a little bit more about this divine morning.
Yes. Oh, so divine mornings. My goodness. So I was able to incorporate that this morning, but it wasn't until a little later. Typically, if, I've got my ish together, it is. And when I did not have a newborn, I
Yeah.
would create the space for myself. I would make it a priority. I'd set my alarm by a certain time. I would wake up 5:30, 6 o'clock, somewhere around there, and have an hour to myself before anybody else woke up, before I'm taking care of the kids, my husband, all that fun stuff. I've got my
Mm-hmm.
cafe with me.
Yeah.
And it's simply creating space for yourself, a beautiful, just a divine, very calming, peaceful space in your home where you can sit and breathe.
Yeah.
You can maybe bring out a motivational book that you're reading, something that is going to inspire you. Journaling is so good. I first make my warm water that you were saying,
Yeah.
it's a must, warm water first. And that's, if I can leave you with anything, just start there.
Exactly.
Start with drinking warm water, even throughout the day. When we do
Yeah.
our big Ayurveda spring cleanse, that's like after every meal, and everything that we drink is warm water.
Wow.
But it's creating this divine space for yourself, so you can really start your morning, start your day with this beautiful space. And we have thousands of thoughts that come through our mind daily, right? With social media, just the day that we're
Yeah.
in, it's all coming at us, and it's all so fast.
Yeah.
So just committing to a little bit of time to slow down, to journal
Yes.
your thoughts.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
slowing down. I know for me, when I was first trying to do it, I was like, there's no way I'm going to get up early when I've been up multiple times with my baby
Mhm.
and trying to figure out, becoming a new mom and everything. But one thing I did start doing was I said to myself, maybe you can't get up in the morning and you can't have this divine morning, but maybe you can look for divine moments. And
Yes.
maybe you can still, if you have an opportunity, if you have to wait in line, if you have to sit in your car at any time, whenever you are just sitting around instead of picking up that phone, that could be your divine moment to just go inward and breathe and love yourself, really, and just give yourself that time out from the day.
Yeah.
I did kind of start trying to get that a little bit more
Mhm.
involved in my day to day, which was helpful. But again, I think real lifestyle change comes from making very small improvements consistently over time. And so, Ayurveda is definitely one of those things that you could work on for a lifetime and always just add one little thing and one little thing, because it just expands, it weaves into herbology, it weaves into astrology, it weaves into the yoga, the meditation. I mean, it is just a basis for a lot of stuff. But let's get into a little bit more about the food and what are some, because obviously I'm a chef, I love the food side of things. What are some of your go-to favorite recipes?
Yeah, well, khichdi hands down is number one. Khichdi is something that's used in a cleanse, but it's used for just bringing in spices that your body needs to help with
Mm,
inflammation and calming the nervous system. So khichdi, it's simple. It's rice, it's spices, and it's vegetables that are in season.
right, right.
And
It's kind of like a base that you can make in any season, because you have the base and then you add the vegetables
yep,
that are in season.
Yes, and then the spices can change. There's a like an everyday spice,
Mm-hmm.
or there is that the seasonal spices where they'll change whether they're cooling or warming spices. Um,
Right.
I would also say I was just looking through my fall recipes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, butternut muffins are just
Ooh.
so amazing. That's one of my, I just love to bake a bunch and then have the kids and my husband just be able to grab that and have that nourishing,
Mm.
warming treat in the morning. It's really beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on, but let me just throw down one more. It's a cleansing green soup. And so when I first came upon this, you can make it warm or cooler. I like it when it's warm. You know, anything that you
Mm.
put in your body that's warming is just nourishing. It's nourishing the cells of your body. And so it's simple and it's delicious.
You know what I really loved was making, because I should point out, so I went to, for everybody that didn't know, I went to Amanda's beautiful retreat. And then the next year, her and Brienne, who she runs the retreat with, they asked me to come back and do the cooking. So I got to go back to the retreat and try my hand at the Ayurvedic cooking, which was so cool because it was just a great motivation. It was a reason, right? To dive in. As you know, in your day-to-day life, there's always excuses to say, I don't have time for that. But this was an opportunity staring me in the face, and I had such a good time. One of my favorite things was the spring salts.
Oh yeah.
That is so cool. I mean, if anything, just make yourself some spring salts, and it's basically the pink Himalayan sea salt, but then you take some, I mean, like a bag of lemons, a whole bag of lemons, and you grate the zest off of all of them, and then you let that dry out. I put my zest on a big baking tray and into the oven and let it dry out really low heat for a while to speed the process. But you could let it sit on the counter for a few days too, and then mix that with the salt. And right now, I can't remember all the different herbs involved. I probably some fennel and some other things in there, but it was so delicious, and it worked on a variety of different kinds of food, whether it was breakfast or lunch or dinner, whether it was really savory or hearty or more fresh and light with fruit. Like, it could go on anything. And I think that's a really crafty thing to do, not only for the cooking aspect of having your spice mix ready to go is always like a super smart thing to do,
Oh my
but
God. Yeah.
then to have it align with the season and what you should be eating at that time. And it should last you about a season. So that was
Yes.
one of my favorites.
Good.
Now,
Well,
before we keep going, though, I do want to point out to people, so because you keep making these comments, and for those that don't know, when you're starting to um, take on an Ayurvedic diet, so typically what you'll do is you'll take your test to find out how your levels are with the three elements, the vata, pitta, and kapha. So those are like three words that we need to really point out, because that's a big cornerstone of what the Ayurveda diet kind of, well, their whole lifestyle is. They're going to look at somebody as a whole and say, let's look at different aspects of your life. Things like, how do you sleep, and what time of day do you like, and how do you feel, about food, like all different kinds of questions about the kind of person you are. And then they're going to look at three different categories that they give the titles Vata, Pitta, Kapha.
mhm.
Can you explain a little bit more about what they're doing there?
Yeah, yeah. So that's going back to the elements, right? That our entire everything is made up of. Vata is going to be, we're going into a Vata season right now.
Mm.
And Vata is going to be light, dry, cold, windy, right? And so that's why in this season, as we're experiencing this, and we're in the Pacific Northwest, so we really experience this, we want to bring in more moist, more oily, warming
Mm.
foods.
To
And
counteract what
yes,
the element is.
yes, yes. And then also not just the foods that you eat, but abhyanga, what I was talking about earlier, that
Yes.
divine oil massage. So
Wow.
in the summer, I would use a coconut oil, which is lighter. And now I'm
Right.
transitioning more to a sesame oil, which is going to be heavier.
Mm.
So that's vata. Okay, and then you go into pitta. So elements again was air and ether, so air and space. And then you go into pitta, and that's going to be fire, right? I was
Mm.
talking about that. So somebody who is go 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 and never stops, right? And just has enthusiasm and is motivated. That's awesome. That's so awesome to do. But there's a burnout, right? There needs to be a balance there.
Right. Yeah.
And so again, that's fire. So you're summer season is going to be pitta. All right, so that's when you want to bring in some cooling, more drying, well, not drying, but cooling, and grounding practices. So you want to ground that fire down. You want to bring it down. Same with vata. And then you go into kapha, and kapha is going to be more oily and dense and slow. Okay, so if you even think about the way that I spoke about those three, you can even think about some of your friends maybe, or family members, or yourself. It's like, yeah, I'm a couch potato. I'm a pitta, or a kapha.
Yeah.
Or I'm riding high, like I'm going. I don't know what to stop. I'm motivated. I'm creating.
Oh, yes. I'm pinpointing my husband right now.
Yes. That's going to be pitta. Somebody who's airy, flighty,
Right.
somebody who's like, ooh, blows in the wind, that's going to be your vata.
And then also quite physically, if you had too much vata, too much air, could that also be if you were really bloated and gassy?
Yes, definitely bloated
So
and
kind
gassy.
of, yeah, or with too much fire, maybe some heartburn.
Yes, definitely.
So it kind of works very much on the like physical, straight across feelings that you're having, as well as your personality and kind of the emotions that are arising.
Yes,
As
definitely.
well. That is so cool. That
And
leads me to something that I want to read, but I keep interrupting you. So please say what you're going to say.
vata, you've got your dry skin, so eczema, right? And so this is where you pinpoint your disease. Okay.
Right.
This is where it is truly the science of self-healing. You can pinpoint your disease, just like the disease of my gastrointestinal problems is that I was just way high with pitta. And so that's really going to affect your stomach and your liver. But that's for another show, right?
Oh, I know. And that's what's so cool. I'm glad we kind of got to that point so people can see. So as you start identifying these things in your body and you realize that there's space in your body, not only for the physical, but also the emotional and the experiences that you have had and all of that. But moving forward, real quick, I have to read this paragraph because it just ties into what we're talking about how it really is about you as a whole person. And so when you start, pinpointing your actual your ailments and then giving them a name and realizing that there's a place for them, that there's a name you can give it, and there's a solution to it. And then there's not only other things you can do as far as the meditation and the yoga and, like you said, even the massage, but then there's the food that you can bring into it as well and truly become your own health advocate, right? Once we can try kind of understand these things. So I want to read this. This is a beautiful cookbook called Eat, Feel Fresh by Sahara Rose Katabi.
I love that one.
Beautiful book. Really such a great spokesperson for Ayurveda, as she's just this beautiful young woman and she's had her own experience with health issues and come to the light of Ayurveda. But reading in her book, she says, "We take on the energy of everything that we consume and become happier, more aligned individuals by making the right food choices. We don't only digest the way that we feel. Wait, hold on. We don't only digest food, but also thoughts and emotions. A healthy digestive system can gracefully catch the curveballs life throws at you and transform them into art. We carry the vibration of the food we eat and the thoughts that we think." And goes on about what her book's going to do. But that's so powerful. We carry the vibration of the foods we eat and the thoughts that we think. Yes. That is so powerful. I have chills just reading it once more. And that's why when I learn about Ayurveda, I constantly have this feeling of like, I know, right? That's so true. That's just, it feels like something I've learned before and it feels good to learn.
Good.
I love it.
Amazing. I just want to say Dr. Vasant Lad is someone else who to reference if you're looking into Ayurveda, and banyanbotanicals.com is a great place to go just for some online information and to order spices and things that you won't find in the store at your normal store. Yeah.
Now we have a little bit of time left in the show. Let's get back to the massage. Okay. And what are some other really cool practices that we can incorporate on our day-to-day life? I did mention, think about eating the seasonal vegetables and look into some of the simpler recipes that you can start to incorporate. As well as, maybe try to take a test, see what your Vata, Pitta, and Kapha levels are. But then what are some of these other really fun habits we can include that can really show us some self-love?
Yeah, of course. Well, I delved into the Abhyanga a bit. And again, that's an oil massage. So it's
Abhyanga means massage, or is that the type of oil you used?
no, Abhyanga is the practice of self-love through massaging.
Oh, that's so pretty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Abhyanga.
And sneha is the term of love. You're bringing this love to yourself. So it's, drawing a bath or getting in your sauna, bringing a sweat in daily. I mean, we can't all do it. Maybe it's once a week, maybe it's once a month. Start with that. And then just massaging, just sitting on your floor on a towel, or if you happen to have a sauna or wherever, and just notice your body, love your body, send your body love, tell yourself, I love you. I love you. I love you. Well, when's the last time that many people have done that? Just to stop, take a deep breath and connect here. I mean, the rate of anxiety and depression, Vata is going to be more anxiety prone. Kapha is going to be more depression prone. And it's just, there's so much going on that we need to slow down. And Ayurveda teaches us to notice, right? Take a walk. Take 20 minutes to walk in nature. Put the cell phone away. Put the podcasts away just for a moment. And just listen. Just notice the nature around you. If you can get out into nature, that's another big one.
Well, and also, when I think about those out there who go, okay, let me try and do this, I think it's unfortunate, but a lot of people are going to have a hard time doing that. They're going to have a hard time sitting still with themselves and being able to love themselves. And I think what's important about that moment, if you find yourself and that's happening to you and you don't feel comfortable in that moment with yourself, showing love to yourself, then that's truly the opportunity for some healing to begin.
Definitely. And it's a practice, right?
Right.
It's a practice. You might not get it on the first time or the 100th time.
Yes.
Just practicing, right?
Exactly.
Just doing to create the change, to heal yourself. This is a perfect opportunity to really dive into ourselves and notice what it is that we need to change, and to have this healthy ecosystem and this healthy immune system, as we've got the other stuff.
Yeah. Is that so important right now too?
Yeah, it's so important. It's so important. So just paying attention there.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I mean, I feel like even I found out a few new things that I hadn't really known before, which is always the case when I dive deeper into the subject of Ayurveda. Once again, I want to recommend to everybody, this is a great book, especially for beginners. It's like really great quality, but he sums it up so it's not intimidating, right? And you feel like it's this huge book, but it's not skimping on any information. And then also, so it's Ayurveda, the Science of Self-Healing by the Dr. Vasant Lad that you mentioned. And then also, as far as some recipes and beautiful food, it's called Eat, Feel Fresh by Sahara Rose Katabi. And these are two books that I feel like are always out when I'm thinking anything Ayurveda. I'm always consulting these two books.
Can I offer one more book?
Please do.
The Everyday Ayurveda Cookbook.
That one too.
Yeah, this is really what I started with. This is a gem. And if I can leave anybody with one place to start, or maybe three.
Yeah, great.
Is switch your morning routine to just serving yourself a cup of warm water in the morning, first thing. Maybe you add lemon. Maybe you just start with that warm water and see if you can increase that throughout the day. But keep going with that. Number 2, take a 20-minute walk in nature with nothing else, just with yourself, and just notice. Notice the birds, the trees, the nature. Maybe even take off your shoes and notice what your feet feel like in the earth.
Yeah.
And then number 3, let's send out that khichdi recipe and make yourself a pot of khichdi.
Yes, you know what I'll have to do. So some people are going to be listening to this in the fall session first, but when this goes live as well, I'm going to make sure that there are some great Ayurvedic recipes on the consciousculinary.org website. So for those involved in the fall session, I'll get those to you, so you'll have those with your packet. But then when the show is um, going for everybody, I'll make sure that those are on consciousculinary.org website. So thank you again, Amanda Malarkey, an inspiration to me and so many, a true ambassador of wellness and guest number one.
Yay!
Yay.
Thank
You so much. And baby Sahara joined us as well. Hello, cutie patootie. I think that's all we have for you guys today, but we'll be back soon.